Hey guys, for this video, we're going to be doing a really pretty soft natural highlight. And guess what? It took less than 15 foils. For lightning, we're going to be using Schwarzkopf Blimey with 20 volume and Olaplex. Okay, pay attention to my clients before because this is the grow out from the service that we're going to be doing today. See how soft and natural her highlights are? That's exactly what this is going to look like as it grows out. Normally when I start my highlights around the face, I go directly on the hairline, but because we're doing minimal work today, she's coming in on a special, just like a summer highlight. For those of you interested, I priced this at $185, which included this color service, plus a haircut and a conditioning treatment. We just did a little bit of a diagonal foil off the hairline and back combed it because we want this to grow out really nice and subtle. She doesn't want to feel like she has to come in anytime soon. The whole point is to feel like her hair is just naturally highlighted from the sun. The first time that I did her highlights, this is again the same exact service that we did, and she was so happy. Her mom loved it. It was her first time ever getting highlights, and it was just like the perfect amount because she still felt natural, just slightly brighter. Normally when I'm doing highlights like this around the face, I usually keep them really tight together, minimal subsection. But again, because she's wanting to be more natural, I'm leaving a little bit more right on her hairline and then more in between the foils. The back comb was really going to help soften this to where it doesn't look like there's just these like slices in the hair. It's going to be really soft and help blend in with her natural root. And you'll see at the end that even though I'm going tight up to the scalp, backcombing it kind of helps soften the root area to blend it without having to go in with a root shadow. Again, this is just a special that I'm doing. It was for right when school got out, a summer brightening special. And I honestly did a back to school special for this exact service. And I just said, like, your textbook shouldn't be the only thing highlighted this school year. And I did a special for the same exact service again. So this is just a special you can do at any point, just very minimal. So because of that, we're just doing two highlights around the face. Normally when I do like a true partial foil, I do like three to five foils like back off the hairline. But because we're just doing this to be a little bit more natural, this is perfect for someone that it's maybe their first time getting their hair done and they're kind of weary. They just want to test it out a little bit, stay more of a natural highlight. This is the perfect service to do. Something that is going to brighten them up around the face. You can see that we're going through and painting through the ends. This is going to brighten them up, but still maintain their natural color throughout. One trick that I learned is to take the painted ends and flip them up under and secure them underneath the foils. Because the painted ends are hanging and they don't have the heat from the scalp, sometimes you'll notice that they don't get as bright as the highlights on the highlights on the scalp. So to help fix that, definitely tuck your highlights up and pin them underneath the foils that are on the scalp. That will help insulate a little bit more heat and help process them faster so that they get brighter and match the foils around the hair. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but for her slices that I'm doing or for her sections, I'm kind of doing like a zigzag sectioning. That will help bring some of her natural throughout the highlights when her hair is down to help blend it and help it be a little bit more natural looking too. And then also going through and doing like an inconsistent weave. I don't want to just take a slice. I just want to take like a weave of hair, and that's what we're doing for our sections. Some of you have mentioned before, how do you keep the back comb from falling back into the foil and not painting it? So you can see there that I have those two clips up there. And when I was holding the hair section out of the way, and then you saw me just back comb the hair up, and then I took that second clip that's closer to the foil, and I was pulling up the back comb and securing it with the clip. That way it doesn't fall back down into the foil when I'm doing my application. For her money piece, I asked her if she wanted to be a little bit brighter or if she wanted to have a softer money piece section. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we are kind of coming out of the bold, bright money piece around the face. I feel like people are starting to embrace more of like a softer, just fine little piece of brightness right on the hairline. So that's kind of what we're doing today, is giving her brightness around the face, but not necessarily like the big chunky piece that most people are wanting to get done, like the past year or so. So we're going to go through again, we back comb it. This is just a weave, and we're just going to do this one slice right on her hairline on both sides. And then after we do the slices on both sides of her hairline, you'll notice that I'm going from the center where she parts her hair to the edge. I don't just go straight down the mohawk section. That's because I want to make sure that I have nice connection all the way around the hairline. You can see that this foil that I'm applying right now kind of lays over top the ones on the side. And that means that when she pulls her hair back, she's going to have nice brightness all the way around her hairline. Versus if we just went straight down the mohawk section, then she would have these like dark areas at the corner of her forehead. So again, we're going to be back combing this section, doing a fine weave. And then that's all we're going to be doing for these highlights directly on her hairline. The next sectioning that I'm going to be taking after these foils are going to be connected right at the part at the top of her forehead at the center, but I'm going to pivot the foil out a little bit more so it's not laying directly on top of this foil. It's going to connect closer to where the beginning of her part is, but you'll notice that I'm kind of making it more diagonal off of the center of the part, and it has a little bit more space between some of her more natural hair is in between the foils. So you can see here that that's just a fine little strand that's right at the front of the forehead area. And that was on purpose. I didn't want to have like a huge slice or a huge weave right on her like money piece area. So I wanted to do more of like a slivery little highlight. So that's why in these foils you'll see like directly on the hairline, it's just more of like tiny little pieces of hair. And then the further back that we are off the hairline, I grab a little bit more hair. That's because I want there to be a little bit more movement, a little bit more brightness through the hair, but I don't want it to be more on top. I want it to kind of be underneath the hair, like when it moves, you see it. That way she still feels brighter, but again, it's going to grow out softer because everything that's directly like right on her hairline, like on the top section of her hair, everything's a little bit more subtle and the brightness kind of exists more underneath. So basically, after this foil, we're done. This is all we're doing around her whole hairline. So that's 4 foils on each side, which is crazy because usually people feel like they have to pack in all these foils, like going up the whole side of the head and these fine little baby light details and all these, and pack in, spend a whole hour just on the hairline, which, hey, I am guilty of that too, because if somebody comes in just for a regular highlight, like, I definitely will spend my time and do this like super great detailed work. But doing a foil like this is kind of good to see, because you're like, oh wait, I don't have to do like all that crazy amount of work to get like good coverage and brightness through the hair. All we did was like two foils like directly on the side, and then 2 for like the money piece area. Literally 8 foils, that's it, just around the hairline. And then now we're gonna go up through the part section. Okay, for this part section, I'm literally making sure that her hair is exactly the way she wears it, exactly how it's parted. I grabbed one section on one side of her part, and then you saw that I actually went through deliberately to match up the stitches on either side. And I grabbed the section of hair from the other side of her part. And I'm back combing it, and I'm going to bring it over. And this is one foil. I'm doing both sides of her part. Like, this would normally be 2 separate foils. But the reason why this works is because for either side of the hair that I grabbed like a baby light, a really fine weave. And the reason that's okay is because if I did like a thicker grab of hair, if I did like a thicker weave where I'm picking up more hair and then I pulled it over, that would create more drag on one side, and then the other side would be closer and tighter up to the root, and the other side would have a little bit more drag. So because these were like fine pieces of hair that I picked up, there's really not any drag that's there. So especially going through and back combing them is going to help soften the root area up anyways. So that's why it works. Make sure if you're doing this on the very top part of their hair, make sure that you're just picking up very fine baby lights on either side. And make sure you're asking them, like, hey, where do you part your hair? Do you ever change your part? And they have to always consistently keep their part in this section, because if they move their part around, then that means that more blonde is gonna fall to another side than the other. So if they're like, nope, I always part my hair, this is where it's always at, like, make sure you go to exactly where their part is. If they part on the side, just do the same thing, just more on the side. For these foils that I'm doing underneath that top foil, I did a little bit of a subsection, and this grab of a weave that I did, you'll notice that it's a lot stronger than the first foil that I did directly on top of the hair. That's again because I want her to feel like she has brightness. I just don't want it to be on the very top. I want everything to fall more underneath. That way it grows out nice and soft. That's the only reason why this service works, is because all the brightness is laying underneath her natural hair. She has like a veil of her dark falling on top of this, so you can see how much thicker this weave is in comparison to the first foil that we did right on her part. So this is going to be nice because she's going to have like more brightness on the top section of her hair. She's going to see more blonde movement like as her hair moves and like as she curls her hair. But she's still going to have that overlay of her natural, so it's going to help it grow out a lot more subtle. This is literally all that we're doing for the foils on top of her head. Literally that first foil that we did right on the part that was grabbing hair from both sides, and then the foils right underneath where that hair is gonna lay, but one foil on either side underneath the part is all we're doing for the top section of the hair. And now that we're in the back, we want to make sure that we have Again, even brightness, we don't want to like forget this back section. So I'm just taking the hair as it lays and I'm picking it up because I want to make sure that I'm grabbing the hair like, you know, sometimes if you like section the hair and then you like grab it and then when the cowlick opens up, it can like adjust how the hair is going to fall. So I like to make sure that some like I'm going to go through and just grab these fine little pieces of hair exactly where they already land. And then that's the section that we're going to be doing. Again, we're going to back comb it. And you can see how fine of a section this is. This foil is like really thin pieces of hair. Just kind of, it's going to look like a soft glisten of highlight when everything's done. But then the next foil that I'm doing underneath, again, is going to be a subsection. And then the foil that I'm going to do is going to be like a stronger weave. All right, so we back combed it and did a weave. It's still a fine weave, but it's definitely like a much stronger weave than that first one we did. But everything is still really subtle. That back comb is going to help it like have a natural root shadow. But this is it. This is all the foils that we did in the back section. Just these two foils that we popped in. Okay, so that is it for her application. I mean, you could leave it at this. This is 13 foils. I did ask her if she wanted a little bit extra brightness through the ends at the beginning of the consultation, and she said yes. So I'm just taking a few little fine weaves, just really fine little pieces, back combing it, and I'm going to paint this through the ends. And I'm going to do this on either side, and then that's it. So technically 13 foils around the whole head, and then just these two panels through the ends. Because these have already been previously lightened and they don't need to lighten too much, I'm not going to tuck this underneath the scalp to process a little bit faster. I don't want it to get too light and over processed just because we don't have that much more lightening to do. Okay, here's the full application. 13 foils on top of the scalp and then 15 total with those two extra panels. So you can see here how nice and light it's getting. Let's check the panel ones. Sometimes those don't process as fast, but you can see that it's definitely lighter. I just don't want it to like over process since it was previously lightened. And now we're going to wash out and tone. I always think it's crazy because look when I'm pulling the foils out, how bright it looks, and it looks like it's going to be like a harsh line and not blend very nicely. But you see when everything's combed out, that back comb, everything blends so nicely. For formulation, we're doing half and half, half 10 NB, half 8 GV. And this is going to be like a really pretty sun-kissed, like golden blonde highlight, kind of like a strawberry tone. These are all golden blonde tones, and we're going to sit kind of like at a natural level 9. And this is going to process for about 15 minutes. Okay, see how I mean when the hair is like combing back, how soft and subtle that is? Like everything blends so nicely. Doing that back comb makes a huge difference because everything looks like it was going to be really harsh, but when you're combing through the hair, you can see that it just blends really pretty and nice and soft with her natural color. It just looks as if like when you brush the hair back, as if the sun just like naturally highlighted it. And here's the after, just blow dried straight, not styled or anything. I just want to show you guys how it looks when it's just straightened, and everything is like so pretty. She just has teeny little highlights going through her hair, but nothing that's like, you know, too overpowering. This is just perfect for anybody that really likes their natural color, but they just want to enhance it a little bit. Here's mom coming in saying how much she loves her hair. Look, she still has a lot of her natural falling through her hair. And you can see that the brightness is just underneath. That veil is right on top of the quote unquote money piece section. So she still has the majority of her dark falling on top. It just has a little bit more brightness underneath. And I think that toner was really pretty and complementary to her natural color because it's just like a really pretty soft golden tone. It blends so pretty with her natural colors already. Anything that the sun has already done to highlight her hair, it's going to blend beautifully with that. Here's her before again. And here's her after, all pretty and styled nicely in the sunlight. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys like this video. 15 foils total. You can still get like a really pretty color with minimal work. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.